I hope you're craving chocolate and peanut butter because I've put together a delicious recipe for Buckeye Thumbprint cookies. Buckle up because this is a bit of a long recipe. I'm going to break the recipe down into 3 steps to make it easier to follow. Keep in mind this recipe will make 12 cookies, but we'll leave some extra ganache and fudge. You can obviously eat the fudge on its own, and you can dip many things in the ganache. But if you need more cookies, you can always make another batch of the cookie recipe, or you could half the recipes for the ganache and the fudge. Without further ado, let's get it. The ingredients you'll need for the whole recipe are 1 1/3 stick of unsalted butter, 1 1/2 cup of powdered sugar, half a teaspoon of salt, 2 1/4 teaspoons of pure vanilla extract, 1 1/4 cup of all-purpose flour, 8 ounces of dark or semi-sweet chocolate, 4 ounces of heavy whipping cream, and 1/3 cup of creamy peanut butter. For the cookies, you'll want to start by fitting a paddle attachment to your stand mixer. If you don't have a stand mixer, a hand mixer works just as well, albeit with a bit more elbow grease. Throw in a stick of your butter, a half cup of the powdered sugar, a 1/4 teaspoon of salt, and a teaspoon of pure vanilla. Mix these all together on a low speed until nice and smooth. Next, you'll want to add your 1 1/4 cup of flour to the bowl. Start mixing on low speed and move it up to medium-high once the flour is somewhat incorporated. Mix until there isn't any visible flour. At this point, you'll want to start preheating the oven to 325 degrees Fahrenheit. These cookies can be a little frustrating to form because of the consistency, so bear with me. This stuff is like kinetic sand, so bring out your inner child and start playing with it. I found the best way to get a consistent size is to use a tablespoon. You want to pack the dough tight into the tablespoon until it's just over the edge. Then scoop out the compressed piece of dough and start working it with your hands. Use your palm to warm up the butter in the dough so it melts together. Don't feel bad if it crumbles in your hands. It happens a lot with these cookies. Just pick up another scoop and try again. Once you've got the dough feeling elastic and cohesive, use your hands to roll it into a ball. Then set them 1 inch apart on a baking sheet. You can use parchment or baking spray, but I usually just set them directly on the sheet. Now bake them for 10 minutes. Once the timer goes off, pull the cookies out of the oven and start pressing the thumbprints into the top. You can also use a teaspoon for this if it's too hot for your thumb. Once all the thumbprints are pressed, return the baking sheet to the oven until the bottom edges of the cookies are lightly browned. This will be about 7 to 9 minutes. I'd say check them at 7 minutes and throw them in for another 2 if they're not ready. Once they're done, cool the cookies on a wire rack. You may recognize this recipe from Martha Stewart's chocolate thumbprint cookies recipe. I love these cookies and how the crackles form when you press the dimple in, so I figured they would make a perfect base for our cookie. Next part, the fudge. Start by greasing a square baking sheet and lining it with parchment paper or foil. After that, go ahead and measure out 1/3 cup of your creamy peanut butter. Throw the peanut butter and 1/3 cup of butter in a pot over medium heat until it's smooth and comes to a gentle boil. At this point, take the pot off of the heat and stir in a cup of powdered sugar and 3/4 teaspoon of pure vanilla extract. Now, you can leave this at room temperature, but it will take a while to completely set. I recommend throwing the baking dish in the fridge for at least an hour before trying to form the fudge balls. Ganache can seem scary, but it's actually a really easy recipe to make. Start by chopping up your 8 ounces of chocolate, then put it all in a heat-proof bowl. Next, pour 4 ounces of heavy whipping cream into a pot and heat the cream until steam begins to rise from the surface. I used a scale to measure the cream so it would be exact. If you use a scale, just keep in mind it's a 2-to-1 ratio of chocolate to heavy cream. You can also start heating the cream before chopping the chocolate, just be sure to keep an eye on it. Once the steam starts rising from the cream, pour the cream over the chocolate. If any chocolate floats at the top, gently push it down so it's under the cream. Don't stir it or touch it or even look at it for 5 minutes. After the 5 minutes is up, add a pinch of salt and a 1/4 teaspoon of vanilla and stir it until everything is smooth and mixed together. Mine didn't melt entirely, presumably because it was very cold the day I made this. Nevertheless, if this happens to you, I recommend putting a heat-proof bowl over a pot of water like this to make a double boiler. Then you can continually stir your chocolate in the top bowl until it's velvety smooth. I would only recommend doing this with glass or metal bowls. I don't think plastic bowls would work well for this. Now that everything's done, it's time for assembly. If your ganache is cooled down, you can reheat it in the microwave in 5-second increments, stirring after every 5 seconds until it's melted, so as to not burn it. Start by taking teaspoons of the peanut butter fudge and putting 2 together to make a fudge ball. Be careful not to melt the fudge too much with your fingers so you can stick a toothpick in it. Next, using the toothpick, dip the fudge ball in the ganache. To make it look like a buckeye, you'll want to only dip it far enough to leave a circle of peanut butter on the top. Then set your buckeye in the dimple in one of the cookies. Now just repeat for the rest. I recommend letting the ganache cool for at least 15 to 20 minutes before eating. Well, there you have it. The recipe might be a little long, but it's worth it for these delicious cookies. Let me know what I should make next down in the comments. I hope you have a great day and you stay safe.